Here's to the crazy ones, the misfits, the rebels, the troublemakers, the round pegs in the square holes, the ones who see things differently. They're not fond of rules, and they have no respect for the status quo. You can quote them, disagree with them, glorify or vilify them. About the only thing you can't do is ignore them, because they change things. They push the human race forward. While some may see them as the crazy ones, we see genius. Because the people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do.
So George Lucas received a very special notice of a great honor from the Cannes Film Festival. He is going to be given the Lifetime Achievement Award, Honorary Palme d'Or, on the 25th of May. And I can't think of a more deserving man. He revolutionized filmmaking and film technology. Here he is as a young, bright-eyed filmmaker, and on the set of his first movie, which was actually THX 1138, with the stellar American character actor Robert Duvall. And he was actually honored again, like I said, at Cannes, and was able to exhibit this movie when he was first starting out at Cannes. So he got noticed. And of course, we know he directed and wrote American Graffiti. And here he is on the set of Star Wars: A New Hope. This is the guy that really gave us our right to dream, I think. Our right to look up at the sky and think we could be something we never thought we could be. He was a rebel, and he stood for independent thinking and critical thinking in the creative arts. Here he is again with Mark Hamill, and of course Harrison Ford, who George Lucas and Harrison Ford are like joined at the hip. Return of the Jedi, again, Return of the Jedi. And we get to Indiana Jones, Steven Spielberg, and Steven was given the idea for Indy on a beach walk in Maui when he asked George what his next plans were going to be while they waited for the returns for Star Wars, the first movie, to come in. George explained to him about the swashbuckling archaeologist, and Steven jumped at it, hook, line, and sinker. And of course, here he is with Indy's namesake, his dog, Indiana, beautiful Malamute, and this is how things that are great are born, in simple stuff. It doesn't have to be complicated, okay? And the more complicated it gets, the less, I think, artistic it gets to be, okay? There's something about the stories that George wrote and created that reach everybody in a way that I don't think anybody else could. Indiana Jones is, what an idea. You know, what a great idea. And then, of course, we have Bowie, Labyrinth with Jim Henson, which is, what a combination. And Labyrinth, again, was a wonderful trip into sort of fantasy land that kids today don't have. We've got too many people in Hollywood that want to take away children's childhood, take away their imagination. How dare you have an imagination as a child? How dare you dream big? How dare you want to watch a movie without some sort of stupid woke message? Just a simple story and it was great. And of course, the prequels, which were made by George, his money, and he got a lot of crap for it because George has a vision for what he's doing. And a lot of times people didn't want to hear it. And it's too bad. Okay, it's just way too bad. This is an old Panasonic ad from back in the 80s, and I just absolutely love it. It is Japan, of course, or is it, I can't remember. It's Panasonic. And the cameras that George used for Star Wars were those cameras. So when you look at this is like how you would feel like if he was walking around in heaven. And this is such a beautiful advertisement that you kind of have to look at it and go, this is George. This is the great stuff he gave us. And now he's finally being honored in the way that he should have been honored by the biggest film festival, the most important one in the world. And while people might be looking at this going, what does this mean? It means George earned this honor. George is truly one of the greatest filmmakers of all time. He changed everything from the way stories are told to technology. So much of what we see today in other films and TV shows are a result of his technical achievements. That's big, okay? Because what it does is it enhances storytelling in a way that made it bigger, simple and big. Star Wars is an epic tale. The Skywalker saga, episodes 1 through 6, are epic on a scale that I think only Cecil B. DeMille and David Lean could possibly touch. The technology, the use of CGI, the use of green screen. It used to be blue screen, now it's green screen. Okay, the volume stage. That was part of his legacy. Okay, and the blockbuster, which he and Steven Spielberg together were the ones that made the summer blockbuster. Okay, George is a man for all time, and he absolutely deserves these honors, and he deserves our thanks, because I don't think that the world would be the same without him. And what we got was a highway map to think, to create, and to be what we were meant to be, and to make beautiful things. And while I believe Hollywood has gotten away from that with their woke crap, I don't think that the culture itself has ever forgotten it. But here's George in his own words. Enjoy, and congratulations, George. You deserve all the praise in the world. And you deserve our praise and our respect because you earned it. You've made the world a better place. And we will recapture that. This is Steph signing out. I'll see you around the galaxy.
Of one thing I discovered along the way is that several speakers up here have talked about happiness. And I've discovered along the way that happiness, you live in two worlds here. Happiness is pleasure, and happiness is joy. It can be either one. You add them up, and it sort of falls under the uber category of happiness. Pleasure is short-lived. It lasts an hour, lasts a minute, lasts a month. And it peaks and then goes down. It peaks very high. But the next time you want to get that same peak, you have to do it twice as much. It's like drugs. You have to keep doing it because it insulates itself, no matter what it is. Whether you're shopping, whether you're, engaged in any other kind of pleasure, that all has the same quality about it. On the other hand is joy, and joy is the thing that doesn't go as high as pleasure in terms of your emotional reaction, but it stays with you. Joy is something you can recall. Pleasure you can't. So the secret is that even though it's not as intense as the pleasure, the joy will last you a lot longer. And people who get the pleasure, they keep saying, well, if I can just get richer and get more cars, you'll never relive the moment you got your first car. That's it. That's the highest peak. Yes, you can get 3 Ferraris and a new Gulfstream jet, and maybe you'll get close. But you have to keep going, and eventually you run out. You just can't do it. It doesn't work. So if you're trying to sustain that level of peak pleasure, you're doomed. It's a very American idea, but it just can't happen. You just let it go. Peak, great. Pleasure is fun. It's great. But you can't keep it going forever. Just accept the fact that it's here and it's gone. And maybe again it'll come back and you'll get to do it again. Joy lasts forever. Pleasure is purely self-centered. It's all about your pleasure. It's about you. It's a selfish, self-centered emotion that's created by a self-centered motive of greed. Joy is compassion. Joy is giving yourself to somebody else or something else. And it's a kind of thing that is, in its subtlety and lowness, much more powerful than pleasure. If you get hung up on pleasure, you're doomed. If you pursue joy, you will find everlasting happiness. So with that, I'm gone. Bye-bye. Thank you.